Hello, and I am sorry to say I am back. Britballguy has returned to this very YouTube channel. Welcome back. As always, I'll be guiding you through this week's games as far as I can, taking a look through the scores and where everyone stands after the week 3 games. A shout out to my interested party, and you know who you are, and a person of extremely good taste in YouTube videos, the Sasquatch 14, a person with an interest in the Railroaders. A big welcome to you. As your unofficial weather forecaster, looking out of my window, well, hole in the wall, I could see it was raining all weekend. This allowed the Scottish teams to point and laugh at the soft Southerners for not being able to play the majority of their games. Karma, irony, you decide. There were a lot of games called this week. The DC Presents versus the Chester Romans, Lincolnshire Bombers versus the Crewe Railroaders, the Doncaster Mustangs versus the Tamworth Phoenix, the Sussex Thunder versus the East Kent Mavericks, and Bristol Aztecs versus the London Warriors, all called off due to waterlogged pitches. The weather seemed to be an equaliser in some of the games that went ahead, as you'll see in the results. As usual, a warning to the Premiership guys, I do go in reverse order. You can skip to the end, but I wouldn't recommend it. You would miss all the good stuff from the other divisions. So without missing a beat, I shall move on to Division 2 North, and it is to Scotland we go, to the Clyde Valley Blackhawks taking on the Glasgow Tigers. Blackhawks convincing win over the Carlisle Border Reivers last week, 23-0. The Tigers yet to play had a better season last year than the Blackhawks, numbers of 6 and 4. A quick note though, when they faced each other last season, both teams took home wins against each other. Very close game this one, remained within a touchdown for pretty much the whole game. The scores remained even in the first quarter. Tigers scored a safety late in the second to make it 2-0 at the half. Third quarter, and both teams scored a touchdown as it ended 8-7 Tigers. A field goal from the Blackhawks in the fourth wrapped up the scoring for the day, making it 10-8 win for the Blackhawks. So a game 2, and the Edinburgh Wolves kicked their season off with a game against the Carlisle Border Reivers. The Carlisle Border Reivers not having a great season so far, only wins coming from the conceding Wildcats. A shutout last week means that they will be looking to put some points on the board. The Edinburgh Wolves leading the way in the division through the magic of statistics, but a 5-5 season last season means that they lacked consistency and will need to find some if they are going to make it to the playoffs. A fire alarm set this game back 30 minutes, but the Border Reivers season didn't get any easier. First play of the game from the Wolves, it was 7-0. The Wolves continued to ratchet up the score with the first quarter making it 28-0. The Border Reivers defence woke up in the second as the score remained 28-0 Wolves. However, they seemed to go back to sleep in the second half as it was 42-0 at the end of the third. An unconverted touchdown and a field goal ended the rout. The final score, 53-0 Wolves. With the games in Division 2 Central being called off due to waterlogged pitches, west we go. Division 2 West. One game here to talk about being the Bournemouth Bobcats versus the Gloucester Centurions. The former Banshees had their first game called off, so this is going to be their first game of the season. They struggled last season with their best result being a draw and 9 defeats. The Bobcats will be hoping that this game is a little less tense than the game last week against the Cornish Shark, which they scraped through 10-6. A good game this one. Early in the first, the Bobcats scored 6-0 Bobcats. The scores remained the same in the half and remained so in up to the fourth quarter until the Centurions hit back with a touchdown of their own. The score was 6-6 tie, which is how it ended. So back north we go, where we see the Nottingham Caesars versus the Lancashire Wolverines. Both teams undefeated this season so far. The Caesars have had impressive wins against the Coventry Jets and the Merseyside Nighthawks. Seem very much the team in the division to beat. The Wolverines' 13-0 beating of the Senators in week 2 shows that they have a strong defence and they are continuing their run of form starting the playoffs last season. The Caesars on their Twitter page proclaimed that this was the Mud Bowl. The score certainly reflected it. 2 players were injured, 1 required hospital treatment. I'm sure everyone will join me in saying get well soon. Incredibly close game, no match report, so final score only 8-9 Caesars. This ends the Wolverines' unbeaten run and puts the Caesars in a good position in the league at this early stage. Okay, so next, the Shropshire Revolution versus the Coventry Jets. is the second game in the division. The Shropshire Revolution, promoted by the realignment of the leagues, they are knocked out of the playoffs by the Trojans last year. The Jets will want to get used to winning again after their terrible 2011 season. Their confidence will be buoyed by beating the team that ended the Revolution season last year. The game started with confusion in the Revolution backfield, allowing for the Jets to grab the ball from the kickoff. This resulted in Joe Brammer to Tony Perkins pass. Extra point was good. 7-0 Jets. End of the first quarter, Brammer found Alex Pierce. 14-0 Jets. Second quarter, and after more fumbles, it was 22-0 Jets. Thomas Singleton-Wells punching it in from 2 yards. The Revolution did come back after the Jets' discipline deserted them. Andy Calvert getting the score for them, 22-6. The half eventually ended 36-7 to the Jets. Second half, Calvert came up with another touchdown for the Revolution to make it 36-13. A Jets wayward pass was intercepted by Alistair Jarvis, on for another touchdown, 36-20 Jets. Fourth quarter, and it was all over. 2 touchdowns the difference. The game ended 48-20 Jets. So Division 1 Central and South. Now it's the Berkshire Renegades versus the Cambridgeshire Cats. The Cats will look to shrug off their Week 1 loss against the Sussex Thunder as they look to take on the new boys in the division. The Renegades, a newly promoted side, will look to continue their run of form from last week after beating the Thrashers in a close game 13-7. Sadly, the score only on this one being 23-7 to the Renegades, who are building a winning streak. The Cambridgeshire Cats seem to be finding it difficult to get into the end zone. The second game, and it's the South Wales Warriors versus the Hampshire Thrashers. The Hampshire Thrashers trying to bounce back after their last week's defeat to Berkshire Renegades, put them 1-1 after their second game. The South Wales Warriors are champions of Division 2, looking to prove they are right to be back in Division 1. With a strong offence, everyone knows around them that they can score. So first quarter, the Thrashers take a 6-0 lead. Second quarter, and Gareth Thomas finds receiver Spencer Cutland. The extra point was good, 6-7 Warriors. Third quarter, the Thrashers return the kickoff, making it 13-14 Warriors. Martin Tranter scored from 10 yards out. Extra point good, 21-13 Warriors. 28-13 towards the end of the third, with Thomas finding Wilkinson again. Fourth quarter, and it was also Thomas finding Thomas. Tim Thomas this time, making it 34-14 Warriors at the end. So to the Premiership North we go. The East Kilbride Pirates and the Birmingham Bulls was the second game in the division. Both sides know each other from last season when they met in Division 1 playoffs. The Pirates taking the game at 47-27. The Bulls, newly promoted, find themselves in the Premiership in a division where virtually everyone has played each other previously. Revenge will be surely on their minds over the playoffs last year. Again, sadly, only scores to report. The Bulls still not having much luck against the Pirates. 47-0. This, unlike the playoffs, the Bulls unable to find the end zone. Second game of the Premier North, the Leicester Falcons versus the Yorkshire Rams. The Falcons beat the Olympians in the playoffs last year, only to go out in the finals to the East Kilbride Pirates. The Yorkshire Rams got a 7-3 season last season. Also, new boys to the division, knocked out by the eventual champions, the East Kilbride Pirates. This game was interesting only in the fact that the first quarter, no one scored. The second quarter, and again, no one scored. The third quarter, and still no score. Fourth quarter, and for the first time I think I have ever said this, the two teams remain pointless. Now, I may mock them, but the weather reports coming from the area were absolutely awful. So a big pat on the back to both teams for actually playing despite the conditions when those around them failed to do so. And finally, to the Premiership South, London Olympians versus the Ipswich Cardinals. The Cardinals finding it difficult to adapt to the Premiership level, having lost the opening 2 games. Last weekend's 50-0 loss against the Warriors, a game they would want to forget. The London Olympians returning to the top flight after a couple of years ago being forced to withdraw through lack of players and dropping to Division 2. The third of the London-based trio of teams in this division both met each other in Division 1 last season. The Olympians started off strongly after making it 13-0 in the first quarter. The second quarter saw the Cardinals stand strong, which is how it ended. Second half, and the Olympians consolidated their lead with 2 touchdowns in the second half, making it 27-0 to the Olympians. So that's it for the games, what games there were. We shall look at the tables now, and Division 2 North, and the Clyde Valley Blackhawks lead the way. The Wolves, having played and won a game, moved down the table. Glasgow Tigers are 4th after their loss, and the Reveres remain rotated to the bottom of the table. Division 2 East play next week, and Division 2 Central not playing through waterlogged pitches. We move to Division 2 West, and Gloucester Centurions have started their campaign with a draw at the Bobcats, with the rest of the teams yet to play. Division 1 North, and after the Caesars their close win at the Wolverines, they sit at the top of the table. The Jets are second, the Wolverines third, Senators fourth, Trojans at fifth, Nighthawks sixth, and the Revolution prop up the bottom. Division 1 Central and South, the Berkshire Renegades top the table with their win against the Cats. The Mavericks are second despite their game being postponed. The Thunder, who they were due to play, are third. The South Wales Warriors are fourth despite their win at the Thrashers. And fifth, Essex Spartans yet to play. And sixth, the Cats, and seventh are the Exiles. To the Premiership North, and the East Kilbride Pirates lead, having played 2 games. The Yorkshire Rams and Falcons are second and third respectively after their scoreless draw. The Phoenix are yet to play, with the Mustangs fifth. The Bulls are bottom. Premiership South, and the Warriors lead the way after playing 1 game. The Olympians, marking their return to the top flight with a win, are second. The Bristol Aztecs are third. The Blitz, who are yet to play, are fourth, and the struggling Cardinals are fifth due to the Knights conceding. Okay, so that is it. Another week done. Well done to all of those who managed to play despite the weather over the weekend. Hopefully next week's games should remain on. Either way, I will return with the latest results. So as always, thanks for watching, and please do get involved via Twitter or my email address as below. Goodbye, and we'll see you next week.